Authorities? There are none, so don't make me into one. For most of our lives, we depend on others. As helpless children, we depend on others for our very survival. As we grow older, our parents, grandparents, and guardians teach us how to feed ourselves, pull up our big boy pants, and tie our own shoelaces. Later, we depend on our parents, teachers, and mentors to model the world for us, to show us how to learn, and even how to think. At some point, however, we must cut the umbilical cord and learn to do things on our own. Sure, we can always use a little help making a living, raising our kids, and pressing through difficult times, but ultimately, we need to learn how to think for ourselves. We can't always have someone there telling us what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is false, what is knowable. Why? Because no one knows. Yet, you will not be able to avoid the people who will tell you all about what they believe about these things. When it comes down to it, we are all in the same boat. There is no knowing, there is no truth, there is no right or wrong. There is only reality and possibilities. The universe provides the reality, and we determine the possibilities. That's all anyone can ever hope for. We each have the amazing, rational mind. Short of some kind of brain damage, we all have the ability to engage in critical thought and rational analysis. No one has it over on us in this regard. Some may have better memory or more education or a greater experience, but no one has some special ability to understand something that the rest of us cannot. Nature does not acknowledge diplomas or certificates, Nobel Prizes, or authority. Reality is what it is, regardless of any consensus or belief or knowledge or approval of man. Any one person with the willingness to do so has the ability to learn anything that another human can learn. Often, it is the laziness to think for oneself that limits us. There is no limit to the human intellect. Other times it is the mistaken belief that we are inferior to others that limits us. Generally, we forego our ability to reason in lieu of popular opinion or authoritarian decree. We assume it must be in black and white, in the newspaper, or on the nightly news, for it to be true. What we fail to realize is that there is no true. There is only possible. It was true once that the earth was flat. It was true once that the earth was round. It was true once that the earth was an oblate spheroid, and it is true now that the earth is not actually an oblate spheroid, as it bulges slightly more below the equator than above. So much for truth. Everyone knew the earth was flat. So much for knowledge. Everyone believed the earth was flat. So much for belief. There appeared to be evidence for a flat earth. So much for evidence. While the human senses limit our ability to observe reality, there is no such limitation on our ability to think critically, reason rationally, and understand fully. Will there be mysteries? Always. Once a theory has been proposed, all that we can count on is that it is rational or not rational. If it's not rational, it's impossible. How does one think rationally? It comes naturally. Once we realize that there are no authorities, what is the best way to start? We start by learning the difference between concepts and objects. There is no third category. There are words that represent objects and words that represent concepts. All words resolve to one or the other, or a concept within a concept. Example: love moves mountains. Love is a concept. Moves is a concept. Mountains, it's an object. Love moves mountains is an irrational statement. Mountain is the only word in this example that can resolve to an object. A mountain is usually a large pile of dirt and rocks. We recognize a mountain by its shape. We understand the name, noun, mountain, because our kindergarten teachers showed us a picture of a mountain and said the word mountain. What makes a mountain an object is that it has shape, the only intrinsic property of all objects. A mountain is an object because we can recognize one in a single photograph or illustration. Mountains are also objects because we can visualize them and illustrate them for others. Love is a concept because one can only depict love in a movie or series of illustrations. There are multiple definitions for love, and love can be said to be both a noun or a verb, depending on its usage in conversational language. However, Love is not an object. One cannot conceptualize a single solitary object that is love. Love is what someone feels for another person, place, or thing. Love is not a thing. Love is what someone does. Love moves mountains is an irrational statement. Of course, everyone understands that love doesn't move mountains. Dynamite and bulldozers do. Love moves mountains is an example of reification. To reify is to turn a verb into a noun. We can do this with ordinary speech. We cannot do this in a scientific presentation. We cannot do this when we're talking about what exists. Yet this is what mathematicians and physicists do all the time. It's no wonder they have to create terms such as quantum strangeness or quantum weirdness to fool us into thinking that it's just beyond us to understand as laypersons. They want you to think that they understand what they're talking about. They don't understand what they are talking about. They want you to look up to them as authorities and as individuals with the final say on what is true about reality. Don't let them do this. Hold them accountable by forcing them to define their key terms without ambiguity, circularity, or irrationality. Make them use their words consistently throughout their presentation. Understanding this crucial difference between concepts and objects will not only help you cut through the bull of mathematical theorists, it will do the same for all of science, philosophy, and religion. No one will ever be able to fool you again. Has anyone ever come up with a third category? No. Can you? Object. Concept. I'll just wait and see.